Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I have Rogerio Marx, and he is a very intelligent man specializing in philosophy and how to think. He rolls with the idea that we used to collect things and now we collect wisdom. And that is the root to being happier. So thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you, and I'm excited to have a great conversation, my man.
Thank you for having me, Justin. It's really a pleasure being here, and I'm stoked to engage in conversation with you.
So first, let's kind of go down the avenue of your lifestyle. Tell me a bit about how you form your days and what's the key to you feeling good?
Okay, so a while back, like 2 years before, I used to drive a lot. I had a car, always driving, and I didn't have a very active lifestyle. It wasn't very satisfying, I might say, but I didn't know that at the time because my lifestyle at the time was kind of part of the landscape. And then eventually I got fed up with having to repair the car all the time. I didn't want immediately to invest in a new car, so I just sent it to be crushed and picked up my bicycle. Since my work place is 5 miles more or less, or 6 kilometers from my home, I've been driving for 1 year and a half, cycling, for 1 year and a half to work. So basically 10 miles each day of the week, and it has had a tremendous impact on my fitness without having even to invest in something, very fitness related, like going to a gym subscription, for example. I haven't been having a gym subscription.
Right. I've heard a statistic that speaks on humans who bike on average over 8 miles a week. I might be inaccurate in that, but along those lines, you live longer. And cycling is one of those hobbies that maybe since it's for work, it's not as much of a hobby, but a necessity. But in the same way, you are benefiting yourself by getting your blood flowing, and you're saving money, you're getting fresh air, you're getting sunlight, and there's a plethora of benefits from cycling. I am aiming to break one of my records and bike 100 miles in one day this summer, which will be extremely hard. I'm setting a big goal for a reason, and it's okay if I don't get that. If I get 75 miles, I'll be happy, but I'm going for 100. And just cycling in general, I love being outside and getting the blood flowing. That's a very intelligent solution that you came to. You're helping your health, you're saving your pockets. A win-win.
Yeah, and also it benefits the environment as well. It's one less car polluting in my city, so it's amazing. This also happens simultaneously with my city creating bike lanes, so everything fell into place very nicely. I really was fortunate for all this to happen at the same time. Another thing that was really interesting was I realized that I can read like 10 audiobooks in the time that I used to complete one conventional book, either print or ebook. So I realized, I learned this about myself, that I'm an auditory learner. I learn okay with listening to someone reading to me. So basically, I've read dozens of audiobooks in the past year, more or less. And some of the first audiobooks that I read were quite recent ones. One was James Clear's Atomic Habits, and the other was Martin Meadows' Self-Discipline. These two books, they agreed mostly with each other in a lot of things. They complemented each other for me. And one concept that both of them talked about was about keystone habits. So habits that are foundational to build other desirable and positive and enriching habits for our lifestyle. And I realized that unintentionally I had created a keystone habit with my cycling to work activity. That's basically, even if it rains, downpours, and whatever, I still go in my bicycle to work. Because, well, it doesn't even matter because I have a shower at my workplace and at my home. If I arrive drenched, I just take a shower and change. And it's all good. Other habits that were formed thanks to this one was really this habit of, how will I say it, stacking on to this habit of cycling, the habit of reading audiobooks while I'm cycling. So since I'm not dealing with complex traffic because I'm going through the bike lanes, I can kind of relax and listen to what the audiobook is telling me. Some audiobooks I've read for many times. For example, one of the first philosophy audiobooks that I've read was Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, and I probably have read that one 15 or 20 times. So you might be kind of, wow, why read a book so many times? Doesn't that seem strange to you?
And I truly understand why you would read a book multiple times, but as someone who doesn't read, it would seem strange because the thoughts, the ideas that are gathered from reading, unless you write them down and capture them, they're in and out of your mind quite quickly. So I will soon find myself coming back to some of the favorite books. I have not yet read books or listened to audiobooks multiple times, but the information can always be learned in a new way, and you can take different things from it, because although it may be the same words and ideas, the way that you perceive those words and ideas will shift due to your personal experiences and your state of mind on that current day. So there is going to be certain books and lessons that you listen to at a certain age or a point in your life that brought you a meaning, but then you re-listen to it in a different point and a brand new lesson can be taken from it. And that's a very interesting concept, how the mind is never the same. You could step into a river and you're never going to step into that same exact water, that same river. Those water is constantly flowing, and that is the same with our minds. We can learn, we should always be aiming to learn, but it's never going to be exactly the same. And that is a beautiful aspect of life and testing your curiosities. When you put yourself out there and attempt new things, who knows what's going to happen, but you're going to be fulfilled with new, fresh experiences. And that is a big piece of the meaning that we all should have. A stagnant, comfortable, consistent in a way where you're not feeling new emotions, new lessons.
Inside the comfort zone.
Exactly. That comfort zone is just where things die. You want to expand upon what you're doing every day. And by consuming that same book, it might seem like you're staying in the comfort zone, but it's actually the opposite, because you understand the depth of an idea and a concept. And that teaches you brand new things over time.
Yeah. To complement this idea of reading books multiple times, I have a story of the opposite happening. So a friend of mine, he quite likes Jordan Peterson and his ideas. He read his first book on the 12 rules for life. I think it's called the 12 rules for order or something like that. Not really remembering the title of the book. But he told me that he read it once. It was great for his lifestyle and his life shortly after. He only read it once and didn't repeat the reading. And then he said that he felt that the benefit was short-lived. So I found that really telling, really informative for me. In contrast, myself, with my example of reading Marcus Aurelius 15 times, reading the body of work of Rumi like 4 or 5 times, which is really massive. It's a 10 hours audiobook. Also, many other audiobooks on philosophy, like Seneca's Moral Letters to Lucilius, which have so much wisdom, so much accumulated great ideas and fine thinking. I find that your brain is kind of rejecting at first new ideas. Your brain has some kind of inertia in it, and it's naturally skeptic to new ideas. Even if you're totally open and engaged with the book, your brain still will do that thing of within 1 year out the other at the first time. This happens inside our brains because our neurons take a while to form and strengthen connections. So for me to integrate Marcus Aurelius's thinking, for example, in a substantial way, I really needed to listen to him a lot of times, and I'm probably going to listen to him more times when I'm after reading some books that I'm reading right now. I'm going to go back to it because I know that the brain works like that, and the mind is foundations on the brain, and the neurons, they really need to form these connections and strengthen them. And we can only strengthen connections by repeating, by practicing, by training, by doing these things daily. If we want to shift our mindset from a negative mindset that is kind of making us feel anxious all the time, or even leading us to sometimes depression, we better be very intentional about seeking positive ideas and making our information diet much more based on positive ideas that help us move forward and upward.
What you consume is what you put out, and that is completely true with my experience. If I'm consuming just divisive ideas or things that are not challenging my current contingencies, then I begin to stay stagnant. And that's where that comfort zone idea comes back into things. We have to be consuming new ideas. And at first, like you said, our brain may have that dissonance where it doesn't want to accept or even ponder upon something that might be a bit aggressive to the current comfort zone. And as we break the barriers of that box of comfort, then we begin to have new, fresh ideas, and our frequency can be changed. Whether you're at a high frequency and you're allowing divisive media to be consumed, you will quickly feel your energy levels be taken down. And on the other note, if you're consuming things that are poor, then you can shift that. You start listening to Marcus Aurelius and ideas that are going to support your growth. You can feel the energy become so unique. And it's similar to going on a hike and being out in nature, absorbing sunshine and allowing thoughts to flow. When you put yourself into the right situations, your body will reward yourself with the correct feelings. Whether it's good or bad, that's up to you to figure out. But first, you got to be aware. And by noticing how your body's feeling and how your brain is operating, then you can reflect and ask yourself, is that type of content good for me? is it making me feel better, or is it encouraging self-sabotage and negative thoughts? So I love that it all begins with awareness. And once you notice things, then we can work to adjust and pivot and grow.
Yeah, awareness and the intentional use of reason. If you make it a point of saying to yourself, enough of this, when we are talking about mindlessness, when we are talking about irrational thoughts, you know, negative thoughts against us that are self-sabotaging, they are never rational. They are always irrational, you know. They're because they have no justification. They have no solid foundations to stand upon. They are only there because there is no light shining upon them. If you start shining a light upon your thoughts, these kinds of critters of our thoughts, they scuttle away. They can't stand the light of consciousness shining upon them. And this is one of the outstanding practices that I've adopted, which is to think at the end of my day about my thoughts, to think about what choices I've been doing during the past day. If I have difficult choices for the next day that I know I'm going to make, or even if some difficult choice arises, I try to make it a point of myself to try to see this choice outside of myself in a third person view. This is a mental technique to stay away from the emotions, to try to remove yourself from the emotions that are biasing you. They will ruin your reasoning, your rational thoughts. So you want to let them, they will work whether you want them to work or not, but you must make it a point to not let them influence you in any way or minimize their influence. Another mental technique that people like Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics used was to choose a very wise person that you admire. I, for example, chose Marcus Aurelius or Seneca or Musonius Rufus. When I have a very difficult choice in life, I think to myself, well, if Marcus Aurelius was here in my place, what kind of choice would he do, considering his wisdom? This is another way to try to put reason in place, to take this choice, take the reins of our life, and not let mindless emotion and irrational thoughts sway us. So this is some of the richness that I've acquired. It's basically practical wisdom from ancient times. Some people know it and practice it nowadays, but until I picked up Marcus Aurelius and other philosophers, I was totally unaware of these kinds of practices. Honestly, I was positively surprised, because philosophy in these times of Marcus Aurelius and others, it didn't only consist on philosophical wisdom, on theory, nice thoughts, but it also consisted on practical wisdom. So practical things that you can do every single day, habits that you can form that will improve your life drastically in such a way that if you apply these things religiously, in a matter of 10 days, in the words of Marcus Aurelius, you can move from being seen by others like a kind of a beast to a kind of a god that they will start even to respect and revere, just because you're making a point of stopping with the irrationality, stop letting irrationality condition your life, not letting mindless and irrational thoughts control us like puppets.
To really focus on reason, it's not an easy endeavor, because the emotions that we have, especially in moments of quick quick irrationality, whether it's in traffic or someone rear ends you or someone comes up to you and starts yelling, and it's a battle within yourself to remember the philosophy that one has studied rather than allowing our emotions to fire us up and we become that irrational human that we are aiming not to be. These habits that we must perform, it's a compounding act. Nothing great happens overnight. So we must understand that consistency, awareness, and reason, those are three of the fundamental aspects to being a better human. And when you apply what you're learning, it allows you to adapt and pivot between your past self and grow into the person you aim to be. But some of these habits that personally help me be more reasonable, it's almost as if I don't express my emotions in a positive way. What I mean by that is going to the gym. If I don't go to the gym and at least lift some weights and express some of that energy, it gets bundled up. And when someone calls me a name or someone beeps at me, it is so bundled up that my irrational self just blows out. And rather, if I have gone to the gym and I'm eating the right food, I've listened to a Marcus Aurelius meditation or the lessons of Seneca, whatever information I'm consuming, it transpires into what I put out. And if I've watched the news rather than listening to some philosophy, let's say I watched the news, I didn't go to the gym, and I had some junk food rather than some correct nutritional, natural glucose and energy, then I'm going to be so much more at the will of my emotions and my irrationality. And on the other hand, when I do the right things, I can take a step back and the emotions still arise, but I'm aware of them much sooner. And I can ask, do I really want to react or do I want to respond like Marcus Aurelius would? And it's this battle of, it's constant. If you are off one day, almost everything you've studied and learned can feel like you're disconnected from it. So we must be consistent with what we consume and how we present ourselves. Going back to what you said, you just lead by example and people will begin to look at you like, I want what he has. What does he have? And it's the consistent consumption of the right ingredients that slowly turn you into a next level, a more intelligent, reasonable, functionable being that is actually being the light within the darkness. I speak a lot about polarities because I do believe in faith and it's nice to have faith, but not everything is good. And there's a reason for that because the bad makes you appreciate the good. If there was no bad, what is good? So now we can understand, oh, wow, that's horrible, but there's so much blessings around us. Now my eyes have been kind of unraveled to the natural gratitude that I should have. It's very interesting how our mind can play these tricks and how we can actually gather our situations and our actions in a manner that is going to support the healthy mind and the correct thought process rather than that corruption of irrationality.
Yeah, you brought up a very important point as well, which is to express gratitude, to make gratitude something that is a habit. You even if someone rear ends you, and you get out of the car and check what happened. Remember, firstly, that the best cure for anger is delay. Just don't react immediately, delay, and then be appreciative about the other person being calm about the situation as well. You kind of diffuse the situation, if you will, because the other person might be also with their internal emotional spring all wound up as well, just ready to fire. And if well, the first things that people say in a situation like that, they really make an impact. They really matter a lot. And if you approach the person with kindness, even if the person is initially kind of hostile, the best remedy to anger is kindness. The best remedy to a sense of vengeance is kindness. So kindness and gratitude is really very important. Other things that are really important in my lifestyle, in what I do, and I recommend everyone to try it, is before this phase of my life, during 10 years I tried to integrate into my daily habits the habit of meditating, and I failed miserably during the most of the part of the last 10 years. Because, well, it started with me frequenting some yoga groups and other people that meditate, but I wanted to do it by myself, so I don't depend on anything else than myself. I only managed to implement this now because of the keystone habits that I was forming. So by cycling to work, a cold shower afterwards, and cold showers, we can get into that in a bit. They don't come easy, but they're rewarding. And then after the cold shower, 10 minutes meditation, and I'm increasing it gradually. Meditating is really, really very valuable because it's kind of you stepping outside your home and checking the weather. And if you don't step outside, you have no idea what to wear, what clothes to wear, how to deal with the weather, etc. You have no idea what's going on. And if you stop and numb all your senses for a little bit, be in a quiet room, nothing going on, focus on your breath at the beginning, and you'll start to notice your mind without without you wanting it, or without your voluntary decision. It will continue producing thoughts, which will, for people that have never meditated, it will come more or less as surprising or as a shock, because they'll find that there's something going on, background processes, as if we want to use a software analogy, background processes going on without our consent in the software, in the operative system of our mind. We can only fully grasp or better grasp these if we meditate, and if we do so as a habit daily, the benefits will start to compound. You will start to see that your stress levels will drop by themselves just with meditation, as they dropped with the exercise. So it's a complementary activity with a different approach to reduce stress levels. And you will also build your self-knowledge, which is such an important thing of all these philosophers that I've read until now. Every single one of them stresses the importance of self-knowledge. Plato, Aristotle, all the Stoics, Lao Tzu, Confucius, the Hindu sages, they all stress that it's really important for you to know yourself. Even in the old temple of Delphi, they wrote the words "know thyself," which was way older than even these ancient Greek philosophers that I've mentioned. So this is an idea, it's a piece of wisdom that's really old. And also I would like to stress the importance that, okay, we can learn from these wise people, but at the end of the day, what matters is that these teachings help you find the goodness within yourself. Because if you connect with the goodness within yourself, just like Marcus Aurelius mentioned, it's a spring that's constantly welling up with goodness if you let it. If you find a way to unpollute whatever is covering it, whatever is impeding it to well up, then you can start connecting with yourself at a deep level that helps you realize much more intuitively what is the best course of action at any given point of your day, at any given moment. Because you will, in a sense, I can't explain this really concretely or scientifically, but you'll start to feel positive about the things that you do, and you start to feel more certainty in what you are doing. If you see someone needing help, you will go and help that person, provided that nothing impedes you. You will go and do so. You will be the Good Samaritan. Just to reference one of my most favorite Bible passages, you will go and help that person that's in need because it's the right thing to do. And you know it's the right thing to do because you're already connected with the goodness in yourself. And this is a lot of work to get to there.
Oh, right. It doesn't happen overnight to understand or fathom what is natural. It's taken me a long time of searching within myself to let the most innate emotions and wishes for goodness of everyone to transpire. Back, let's say, a couple years ago when I was distracted and there was no consistency in my effort to become a better, more intelligent, good human being, things were very unnatural. I love the differentiation between your ego and your natural self. I think that's what we're getting at, is when you meditate, don't be hard on yourself because thoughts are still flowing. People get it twisted and they think meditation is supposed to be blank. You're still going to have thoughts. It's the act of noticing your thoughts. You're sitting down and you're aware of all of the different emotions and ideas going through your head. And that is the slow daily process that will allow you to get clear with your truest self. Because my ego, we all have the ego. It's the part of you that is jealous of others, that doesn't wish goodness upon everyone, the part of you that holds grudges and that says, oh, but why are they there and I'm here? The comparing yourself to other people, that is all egotistical action. But when you get more close, in depth with your true self, you become aware that we're all connected in this weird, innate way, that you are so much more likely to do good things and for them to come so naturally. Good things are not forced. When you're actually wishing the best for everyone, there's just a powerful inclination to do good. Like you said, whatever example, if someone's fallen or someone needs help, you cannot think of anything but helping that person. It is so natural in your truest being that that's the only option. There's not a second guessing of, do I help this person or do I not? And if there is, that's your freaking ego. It's not your truest self. And if you cannot relate to what I'm saying right now, do not feel bad or astray, because these type of emotions take a long time of consistent knowing yourself to become aware of. Whether it's the exercising, which I relate to as an active meditation. When I exercise, it's just as I'm meditating, but I'm not sitting down with my eyes closed, it's still so similar. I'm not doing anything that is unnatural. It's all this thoughts and the ideas we're speaking of. I just urge you, if you've never tried it before, give it a try. Do not be so closed off that you say wishy-washy, no way, that's not happening. Try new things and you'll unravel your truest self. But the biggest point I want to nail home is there is a big difference between your ego and your natural self. And it is your job to really investigate further. Am I just being egotistical? Is that how I live my whole life? Ego? Is that all I am? Or is there something in the middle, two sides of you, going back to the good and bad, your ego and your higher self? The polarities are so necessary.
Yeah, I think what you said is beautiful, and I hope it inspires people. I was feeling inspired by what you were saying. Um, I would also like to add that we can view our true self as what the ancients would call the soul. Marcus Aurelius described it, and the ancient Greeks, as a perfect sphere, without any imperfections, without any flaws. And then the irrationality, the unsound reasoning and emotions that drive us astray. It's kind of like a layer of grime that's encrusting on top of it. We need to clean it, and we have several tools to clean our true self. One of these is, of course, meditation. And I can't go into all the details of why, in scientific terms, meditation is very useful to improve ourselves. But there's scientific studies done on it. They found that stress levels decrease, which is an indirect way of saying that likely the irrationality is taking less of a seat in the driver's seat for these people. If you can calm yourself with several tools, be it meditation, lifting, as you've mentioned, which is an active meditation. Some people enjoy dancing, some people like swimming. I also enjoy hiking in nature in a forest near my home. It helps calm down this superficial self, the ego, so that the real self beneath can shine better, can be more visible, and you can know yourself more profoundly. So it depends on each person's taste, of course. Maybe meditation sitting in a lotus position or seiza position is not for everyone, but if people already have keystone habits that allow them to unwind and get in touch with themselves, even if they're doing something physical or active, that's way better than being a couch potato consuming television and news and whatever. I must say that for like 2 years now, I've already dispensed with my television. I don't consume any television for many months now. It also really helped me a lot, because so much of what we see in the news is not reason. It doesn't have rationality. It's a lot of content that is tailored, that is designed to build outrage in people, to make them feel bad about themselves, to make them feel enraged about a certain group in society. Where will this lead in the long term? It's not sustainable. We have to realize what's going on, what kind of information diet we are making, be it in television or in social media, with content that is irrational, that's not solidly based on something very well grounded. If something is causing you outrage and making you feel uncontrolled, pause, because something or someone is pulling your strings. Okay? And Siddhartha, which was one of the greatest wise persons that I've had the fortune to study, and I'm still studying, he said that attachment leads to suffering. And this attachment can be viewed as well as a sort of strings that are making us a puppet.
The analogy of having your strings being pulled, that sums up so much of what is going on with today's society. But with those people that are pulling strings with the root idea, the goal for them is to cause irrationality. And like you said, we must take a step back and think, where is this going to lead us? What is the big vision of these string pullers? And that brings me to the polarities. So if there are people pulling strings, taking advantage of the technology, the ability to reach the entire world, we, me and you, also have the power to create a reach and engage with people in the opposite manner, to bring reason to humans and to guide them to find their inner self, rather than being that egotistical irrationality all the time. We have this amazing opportunity to change lives in a way where we show them, hey, whatever habits you truly enjoy, whether it is the meditation, the biking, the walking in nature, the swimming, the weightlifting, there are the journaling is an amazing one. Organization of your higher self, getting that true reason out, and in a manner where you can reread what your highest self has created. And journaling is one of my favorites because there's a balance. Our physical bodies get tired. So you can go to the gym and that will be helpful. But if going to the gym is your only avenue of reaching your higher self, you might figure out, hey, I kind of want that feeling more, but my body's tired. How do I do it? Well, now we go into reading and journaling and meditating and even cleaning your house. I'm a big fan of how your environment, how your workspace is. If my office was disgusting and dusty, I would not feel so nearly capable of having a high level conversation. That's just one of those things behind the scenes that I think people can benefit from. Be aware of the people you're speaking with. Do you feel more energy after you leave? Or do you feel drained after hanging out with a certain person? Does all this person do complain about how hard life is? Or are they looking at challenges, speaking about them with an open mind, saying, like you referenced earlier, now you're not fixing your car. What a odd coincidence that the bike lanes were created just as you started biking. I don't believe in coincidences. I think looking at the whole world with a lens that a challenge, a mishap, a mistake, let's pivot and figure out what can be taken from that to benefit our highest self. And just this act of, it's all in your head. It's so intriguing how powerful the way we perceive everything is. We all humans are perceiving constantly. And I love this idea. It's not the situation that happens, it's the individual's perception of the situation. The same thing could happen to me and you. I could view it as a lesson. You could view it as something to complain about. It's so open-ended is our world.
Yeah, and to build up on that example that you just gave me about people complaining to another, for example, imagine that two complainers meet and one complains to the other gets drained and complains to the other. They both leave drained from the conversation, because besides them listening to the other's complaint, their own minds are going on with this war inside them. They're draining themselves because they're listening to the others complain, and their own mind complaining that the other is complaining. So it's has many levels of energy draining. But imagine if a sage, a master, a wise master meets a complainer. The complainer starts complaining to him. He smiles and responds with kindness and has patience to listen to him. He even practices a thing that I value a lot, which is active listening. When you make it a point of conversing with someone else and trying to get inside their understanding, to try to view the world in their words as they are speaking, you start to get connected with the other person, and only with connection can you help that person find a way to get out of that vicious cycle, to start transcending whatever is the origin of those complaints. Because for sure complaining won't solve it, because it's wasting energy that isn't being used at designing solutions. If we have a problem in life and it has no solution because, for example, someone dear to us died, death has no solution, we can grieve all our hearts out. The person won't come back. We need to confront with this situation where the reality has shifted completely, and there is nothing we can do unless we do something positive about it that helps us move on, preserving that person's memory, for example. In the other extreme, if you have a problem that has a solution, why are you complaining instead of finding a solution for it? It's either way. It's kind of like a flow diagram. In either way, complaining is a waste of time and energy. It's never something reasonable to do. So why is complaining a thing that is so common in society nowadays? It kind of goes into the bag of vices or problems with current day thinking, that studying these wise people from hundreds or thousands of years ago helped make more visible. It brought these errors of modern day or current day thought to the foreground. In my perspective, it helped me realize that a lot of what we think, a lot of what we do with our minds today is wasteful. It doesn't enrich ourselves and doesn't help society in general. So in the concept of justice that Plato mentioned, he went immediately from the individual to the society to talk about justice, because it's only possible to talk about justice if we talk about a society that is healthy, not just the individual, because that you cannot see an individual in all its dimensions if you don't include the social dimensions as well. And therefore, if we are polluting our society by complaining, by being angry at others, by discriminating others because of some arbitrary thing that is going on with them, where will this lead? Will this lead for a golden age of human prosperity? I don't think so. I think we really need to put these things in perspective, where reasoning isn't happening, where irrationality is leading us astray, to become aware of it, like shining a very powerful beam on it. So if it's wrong, it's going to go away, and we must do that as soon as possible, because we have such powerful technology, both to do good and to do bad. So we must get our act straight as soon as possible. If we can reach for the stars. If not, probably we won't be around for long. this is, this is really a thing about fitness of civilization. We need to think about making the individual anti-fragile, not just resilient. I advocated resilience, achieving mental and physical resilience a long time, but it's not enough. We must become anti-fragile, because sometimes we are called to unlearn some things that we have learned that make no more sense no more, so that we can replace it with valuable learn lessons that we can apply in the future and in the present, because things are changing so quickly. So in a sense, this kind of challenge that we face, both as individuals that are anxious, and individuals in our tendencies, we must realize that we must become aware of that, and also in society and civilization, more broadly, more generally.
It's a tough thing to tackle, the understanding that we have so many humans who are skewed in the direction of irrationality, and how to get them to be aware that there is a brighter side on the other once you pass the river. It's something that I think about often. What put me on this path to look for my higher self? I think eventually I got sick of the cycle of irrationality. My mind was operating in a manner where I was judging and wasn't feeling good. I was complaining, and the question occurred, there has to be something more. I can't go on living this low quality life absent of reason. And I began to ask questions. What is my purpose? And it can't be just this, to sit around in a circle of friends doing drugs, and that's all. It has to be something more. But my urge to share this with the world, the question arises, how do I allow more people to feel what I felt? The sickness of not stability, but stagnant living, of low frequency, low energy living. There are so many humans I see, whether they are, I like to say, NPCs, non-playable characters. They are living a life where there is no reason, but they consume and they don't think. They're told what to think, which is the string pullers, and they're stuck in the cycle where they don't even acknowledge that their strings are being pulled. And that now I ponder upon, how exactly do I allow these people to come to that awareness that their strings are being pulled, that they are having zero reason, they're living a life of 100% ego. And like we spoke upon, it takes a long time for me and you personally to find that higher self. It's not an easy battle. It's an everyday consistent effort to consume the right things, to take the proper actions that encourage our higher self to speak and to allow us to notice our higher self rather than that ego. But these questions, I believe it all starts with asking. But before asking, you must become aware. So the true question is, how do we bring more awareness to humans who are having their strings pulled? How do we allow them to notice there is more to them, not just their egos, not the religion of materialism, not the consumption of media and processed foods and porn and instant gratification? How do we allow them to see the brighter side? And it's a tough question. It's a deep question with a multitude of answers, but that is the goal, I think.
Well, thank you for asking this question, because maybe it's one of the most important questions. Considering this kind of path that me and you are going through, it's really important to ask ourselves, since we already mentioned that we are in a mindset where if we notice someone needing help, we go and help them, we are already there. So, and we have also established that a lot of people are waking up every single day and they aren't excited about the new day that they're blessed with. They're kind of anxious because they have a job that they consider terrible, that they need to perform. They're going to meet people that are impossible to deal with or such. So there's a lot of what the ancients called in their time wretchedness, and slavishness. People are not excited. They're not enthused. They don't feel like the future is going to be awesome. Just to borrow also wisdom from a very current day person, Elon Musk uses to say frequently, we must figure out how to make people wake up in the morning and be excited to be alive, excited to what they're going to do during the day. And it's so important for us that I will try to give my best answer as possible. So, as we've seen, a lot of the people that get more attention nowadays are celebrities, movie actors, some politicians as well, singers. If we see the top 50 of Twitter, it's mostly these people, these types of people that are the most followed accounts. This informs us about some priorities that people have, which is people are very, very appreciative of beauty. People, people, I think, this is my opinion, of course, but I think people experience ugliness on a day-to-day basis in general. And so the possibility to go to a concert and see their favorite musician or singer or something like that, or see an epic movie with their favorite actors that they care a lot about, or seeing sports events with their favorite athletes, it really lets these people get out of the ugliness of their life for a little while. And therefore, people value that a lot. One way for us to help rehabilitate society, considering this pain of ugliness, is to try as much as possible to write the finest poetry, to write the greatest songs, to write the most inspiring books, movies, etc., that convey these kinds of ideas that people aren't fixed beings. They can improve daily. They can transcend what they are now. They can become unrecognizable considering a relatively short span of time. For example, in my lifetime, I was mostly a kind of an egotistical person until my early 30s. Then I started little by little gaining awareness. And only in the recent 2 years, I started deliberately learning soft skills like active listening, emotional intelligence, leadership. Leadership is such an important skill for every single human being in this planet. Even if they only lead themselves, it goes a long way. Also, this inspired me to realize that maybe these old people that lived millennia ago, they still have valuable lessons that, although people claim that Aristotle or Marcus Aurelius or Plato deeply influenced, for example, Western society, this might not be entirely true, because they will only influence your life if you make it a point of learning their lessons, learning their wisdom. Otherwise, it's going to be like in a museum outside of society. We must make this kind of wisdom alive again, if we really are dealing with wisdom that is valuable to mankind, that will help us. So therefore, artistic production, deliberate artistic production, and that is why I write as well. I'm not just writing for myself, though it's a big part of that. I make my Twitter as if it's my journal. In part it's for myself, because I learn things and I write about them in my Twitter, and also I blog about things. But it's also in my hopes to also provide value to someone, to inspire them to become a better version of themselves. I don't want people to follow other people. I want them to figure out how to be a better version of themselves and to lead themselves to pick up the reins of their lives. And this is one of the things that the most outstanding leaders in history do. Mediocre leaders, they create followers. Outstanding leaders create other leaders. And this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm trying to go. I hope I can have the life in me and the strength to keep on writing, maybe publish books, do other collaborations with other artists, whatnot. I'm open to a lot of things, as long as it helps put these kinds of positive ideas in the foreground, so that they can outcompete the negativity that is so excessive in our society, and at the same time so unnecessary and unproductive. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, it brings me back to that idea. Well, we must be grateful for the negativity, because without I don't want to say evil, but let's say bad, without the bad people who are pulling the strings, we might not have such a strong passion to create the writing, to form new leaders. Rather, I love the point you said about we are not trying to create followers. We don't need followers. What we want is to install the power into the individual, so that you carry your own responsibility. You're so fully aware of the string pulling, of the negativity, of the hardships that are not necessary, but in a way, it's an opportunity for us to become who we are created to be. There is a specific purpose for every individual, and the way that we articulate our uniqueness, we are one of one. There will never be another you or I, but sure, our goals and our passions, our purpose might intertwine, and that is why there is that good and bad. Without the bad, we would not nearly have such a accountability to be our best and to carry our cross. And the writing, the reading, the exercise, it all intertwines, because if we are not taking care of ourselves, fueling our passion, our potential, then we fall off and we're not able to create the most beautiful artistic endeavors. And whether it's painting or poetry or singing, as long as the outline behind that is not motivation, but true raw inspiration to create your highest self, to be someone of reason, to help other people rather than judging and being envious. There's so much beauty in our world, but if there wasn't ugly, there wouldn't be beauty. So it all comes full circle in this odd way where now we completely understand our purpose, which gives us a reason to wake up every day. And sure, even me speaking now, there are still moments, thoughts that come into my head. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I feel bad. Yeah, I still am corrupted at times, but the awareness of those thoughts, I can bring that to my forefront of the conscious and notice it, correct it, and regather my focus to be less egotistical and more of a reasonable human, having the big picture always in my mind. That big vision is the key, and we have such an opportunity at our hands. I am becoming more shifted. The past year or two, it's been a lot of negativity that's made me realize, okay, I need to accept the responsibility to help others. But now I'm becoming more skewed in the direction that it's going to go our way. There's no other way but us, the goodness, the reason, winning. It's just not going to be an easy, simple battle. But why would we want an easy battle? That would not bring our most appropriate, our highest creations to the surface. So this concept is brand new to me, but I really feel deep inside that these negative string pullers are just pushing our best out of us, and the goodness will win.
Yeah, and I agree with you. We must experience life in all its dimensions. If our life were a walk in the park, full of only nice things, like the initial part of Siddhartha's life was, because he was a prince and his father was overprotective of him, way more overprotective as the most helicopter parents in all time that you might think about and imagine about. He basically created a very nice golden cage for his child, where no elderly person was allowed to enter, no diseased person, no one suffering, whatnot. So he was completely, until his early adulthood, completely alienated to suffering, you know. So he only experienced goodness only when he started experiencing suffering in the world. Then was when he realized his calling, you know. That was the switch in his life. That was when he realized he didn't want anything to do more with wealth because it wasn't part of his calling. And then he went to experience suffering. He experienced suffering for long enough to realize it wasn't the way, and then he shifted his attention to figuring out how to make suffering something that doesn't need to occur in life. You know, you can just embrace some very wise teachings. And although pain is something that is part of a person's life and it's unavoidable, we feel pain because our bodies are designed to feel pain, basically. But we don't need to add any suffering in our imagination to our pains. It's once again, it's unnecessary. It's wasteful in terms of our energy. it fetters us and impairs us to be in a situation, in a condition to rise up to challenges. And we really need to rise up to a lot of challenges in our day and age. One of the things you've said, because of saying that we need to experience some badness in our life. I wanted to read a quote by Heraclitus, which really puts the hammer on the nail on this, which he says, "To get everything you want is not a good thing. The disease makes health seem sweet. Hunger leads to the appreciation of being full-fed. Tiredness creates the enjoyment of resting." So we really need to have in moderation in our life the different dimensions of human experience. Otherwise, there's certain lessons of practical wisdom we probably won't ever figure out. Another thing that Heraclitus says is that big results require big ambitions. So we must try to reach to the stars. Even if we miss the stars, at least we hit the planets, So we must aim high. Even Bruce Lee talked about this. It's only a failure to aim low. It's perfectly excusable if you miss when you aim high. If you aim low, that's the sin.
Yeah, that is a great way to sum up our conversation. To both of us, we have high aim, and it is okay to understand this will take time, and to give ourselves appreciation for the mission that we are looking to achieve. If we had a low aim, then there is no feeling of struggle. And from our struggles to maintain and actually raise our energy to become the person like Marcus Aurelius, or to search within ourselves to find our most valuable way to contribute to humanity. To have these high aims is wonderful, and I would much rather fail at my mission of everything we've conversated upon today than to have no mission at all and to live a life with no aim, just kind of wandering through each day without a big picture vision. We need to have something that is so outside of ourselves that we are working towards. Because if I'm just living this life so I can have a Lamborghini and a hot girl and not even have the girl for her depth and her realness, but just for the outside perception that, oh, he has a Lamborghini and a hot girl, that type of low aim is so corrupt that it doesn't bring your unique, creative, one-of-one potential to the surface. But when we're aiming to actually help people, to bring the egotistical living to a stop, and to raise the frequencies of each individual so that reason is one of our core values, to value freedom, reason, kindness, generosity, and have empathy for every other human that you see or come across. That is a very challenging goal, but at the same time, it's not worth doing something if it isn't challenging. So the path we're on, everything we've spoken about today, I just feel deep that it will help people. First of all, it helps both of us to have the conversation and to organize our thoughts in a manner where now we're clear about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and It just starts really with the awareness and the noticing. And from there, you ask yourself questions. So, awareness, noticing, questions, and habits. Those are some of the core fundamentals to getting yourself out of a rut. So, if you're in a place where you're not feeling good every day, and of course, I don't feel good every day, but the majority of my days, I love this idea. My bad days of the past are so much worse than my bad days today. My rough situations now, I can almost correct them quite quickly. Rather in the past, I would dwell and allow that negative thought cycle to transpire into a full day of negative self-talk. Rather now with the awareness, you notice it. Okay, what can I learn from the mistake I made? And now get into an active meditation, a true meditation, a journaling session, reading, biking, exercising. Just take control of yourself and do not play that complainer, low frequency role because it harms other people and it harms yourself. It's not a win at all. But this conversation was just fantastic. Like we went through a tremendous amount of value. And personally, I just feel like glowing right now. This was a great start to my day. And by having deep conversations, I think that's one of the most innate parts of being a human being. We're supposed to have these intellectual breakdown of our own experiences and to share them with other people.
Likewise, Justin, I feel exactly the same. And I can fully relate on having my worst days behind me, in a sense, even my worst days of the past few months. Having read these epic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, it's almost like the wretchedness is starting to gain ground, and then it's as if, and I'm using humor here, which is also a very, very valuable tool to get our act together. It's almost like Marcus Aurelius steps out of somewhere, and he says, "Enough of this," and the wretchedness goes away, goes away once again. So I only feel a small hint of negativeness, but it's all completely overshadowed by reason, you know. So this is for sure one of the benefits that I couldn't imagine in my wildest dreams when I was starting to pick up ancient philosophy. I never thought this could come about it. So I was also wanted to put it out there. Also, the ancient philosophers, the Stoics, they were also very well known for their sense of humor. And if something happens to you, Justin, or to anyone listening to this, and you can find it in yourself to play about the situation, you will likely lighten your soul and those around you, and you will do a great service to your group or your community. To transcending the situation and finding productive solutions.
Thank you, Roger. That everything you've said today, just tremendous insights. I appreciate your time and I wish you an enjoyable day.
Likewise, have a great day, Justin.
Thank you, my friend.